Hi, everybody. Thanks for joining me for this prayerful pause with the pastor. I'm Pastor Deb Swift of South Presbyterian Church in Rochester, New York. One of our acts of faith recently we are almost completed with studying the book White Privilege Pop Quiz by Molly Secors, which many of you I've quoted here a few times. And as part of that, we've had a very faithful group of, between 20 and 24 different people who've been on at different points during what will be a 10-week period discussing it. People came when they could, and most were white. I think up to 3 have been women of color. And this last week, we had what's called a fishbowl presentation. You may have experienced these in work or church or in other locations where you have a group that, if we were in person, we would be sitting, the group would be in the middle, forming a circle, and the rest of the people would be seated around. And the group in the middle was the only group that could talk. And ultimately there would be a seat left open, and someone, after the group had finished their presentation, someone could come forward and enter the group and ask different things. But it's a way of focusing attention on an uninterrupted space with what that group wants to say. And this last Monday, our women of color agreed to be in a fishbowl and kind of interview each other and share answers so that all of us who were on the periphery could understand. What I didn't explain to the group beforehand was that my co-leader, who's an African-American woman, our clerk of session, Sonia Kennedy, and I had established this for a number of reasons, not the least of which is to give people, white people, people who look like me, beige-skinned people, the opportunity to experience what it's like to not be the center of attention, to be on the periphery, to not be invited to speak, in fact, to be silenced. And, we'll debrief that this next week. It's going to be just the whites from the group, because I think we have some processing that we need to do on our own, and then the final week we will all come back together again. This has been a very intense and heartbreaking time. Part of the heartbreak has been as those of us who grown up thinking that things were one way realized that they weren't, and realized that what we were taught was not true. What was said to us throughout our lifetimes about equality and everyone having a fair shot just wasn't true. And in the midst of this, one of the readings to come into my inbox, I hear from Diana Butler Bass. Some of you will know that name, and she has a weekly blog sort of that she posts. And it's called Diana Butler Bass, The Cottage. And she, this last February 18th, as a matter of fact, she wrote about honest history. She'd been asked to give a talk at General Theological Seminary in New York, in a series in the Episcopal Church. And she said this: "History is an important issue right now. We are arguing about history in politics, schools, media, and faith communities. Whose history counts? How do we know what really happened in the past? What do we do with histories that have been hidden, or histories that cause shame? Can we be honest about history? What is the truth of the past? Even if history is the source of much contention right now," she writes, "I also think it can be a source of healing. We need, especially in churches, to practice honest history. This means recovering stories that have been hidden, fearlessly facing the past, and developing a spirituality of integrity regarding history. Embracing history is not about creating guilt or hating our ancestors. It isn't about canceling anyone or demeaning any particular group. Instead, honestly facing the past, developing a capacity for both criticism and compassion, is how we can overcome unresolved trauma and residual shame that lingers in our memories and haunts our communities. Being truthful about the past actually honors our ancestors more than continually hiding their sins, covering up for their mistakes, or believing half-truths about their lives. Lying about the past keeps the mistakes of history alive. Being honest about the past helps heal what was broken by those who came before us. I invite us all to think about that. And it doesn't have to be racial history, but history in our own lives, history in the lives of our families. We tend to keep things hidden. Oh, don't talk about that. Shh. We don't talk about Uncle George. Why not? Why not? We talk in the church openly about the atrocities the church has done in history, way back, but not so much right now. Sorry. That was letting me know I need to hurry along, but I've said what I need to say, I think. Let's not be afraid of our history. Let's put it out there so we can heal. Thank you for joining me for this prayerful pause of the pastor. And since this is a Friday in real time, I will ask you for your support of this ministry through prayer, through monetary gifts, through sharing this, sending this link to someone else you know, someone who might also want to be challenged sometimes. But whatever it is, until next time, I look forward to seeing you then. And until then, God bless. Take care. And bye for now.